Hello, in this video we're going to be adding and subtracting rational numbers. If you remember from the past, rational numbers usually means fractions. However, in this case we're going to be dealing with fractions that are positive and negative, mixed numbers, as well as decimals. So a rational number really can mean any of those things, except normally when a math book says it, it's talking about fractions. So in this we're going to combine our knowledge of adding and subtracting integers with our knowledge of adding and subtracting rational numbers and decimals to simplify the following problems. So remember, if you're dealing with integers, which are positive and negative numbers, such as numbers on a thermometer, for instance, let's say you were in a city that was 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're sitting right here, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty cold. And you're talking to your friend on the phone who lives in Alaska, and they're like, you think that's cold? It is negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit in Alaska right now. And so you want to know the difference, and the difference would be subtracting, and so you're doing 20 minus negative 20. So remember, when you're subtracting, because we're doing subtraction, it's not always really like subtraction, because when you go past 0 here, we're actually needing the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here. So it's actually going to be 20 plus 20. So we would really write that as 20 plus 20, and so the difference is actually 40 degrees Fahrenheit. On the other hand, if you were sitting in Alaska at negative 20 and you're like, man, it is cold here, and then one of your friends over in Russia was like, you think that's cold? Imagine subtracting 20 from where you are right now. What temperature would it be? And so subtracting means you're going this direction, so that actually would be negative 40. So even though you're subtracting here, it's acting more like addition, because we're going to get a larger absolute value number of 40, although it is negative, right? So keep those in mind as we go on through the next few problems. So the first problem we're going to do is 5 2/5 plus a negative 8 4/5. I find it easy, if I can't remember exactly what to do when I'm adding integers, to come up with a simple problem to decide what would happen here. So if we had like 2 plus negative 3, right? If the negative number is larger, we know that that would be negative 1. Okay, so we know we're going to have to subtract these, and the answer is going to be negative. So let's keep that in mind as we do this problem. You can always also use a number line to see what would happen with easier numbers. Okay, so we're going to have to subtract these because there's different signs. So we have 8 4/5 minus 5 2/5. So keep in mind that even though the answer to this would be positive, the answer to what we're doing over here is going to be negative. So I'm just going to put that in the bottom so we don't forget. So 4/5 minus 2/5 is going to be 2/5, and then 8 minus 5 is 3. So our answer here is going to be negative 3 2/5. Now let's keep going. So now we have positive 2 2/3 minus a negative. Now remember, when we're subtracting with positive and negative numbers, often it's easy to do a rewrite. So I'm going to force you guys for now to do a rewrite here and make this an addition, and then from there it'll be pretty simple. 2 2/3 plus 3 2/3, and we're adding here. 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. Now remember, 4/3, that's improper, and so the fact that we're already going to have a mixed number, you don't want to have a mixed number and an improper fraction. So let's change this to be 1 1/3, because this is more than a whole, right? And so it's actually going to be 5 plus 1 1/3, which is 6 1/3. Now let's try this one down here. 4 2/7 minus 6 1/7. So it's subtraction, which I've talked about. It's easy to rewrite as an addition problem. Now we can see that the negative number is bigger, so it's going to be a negative answer, and also we're going to need to subtract. And so we're going to do 6 1/7. I don't know why I'm putting them this far away, but That's okay. Minus 4 and 2/7, because when you're subtracting using vertical subtraction, you always have to put the biggest number on top. So although 6 and 1/7 is negative, we need it to be on top in order to do the subtraction properly. And we fix that by just putting a negative in our answer, and that'll make it okay. So 1/7 minus 2/7, if you'll remember back to the pizza example, we're going to need to do some borrowing here because the customer wants more slices than we have. So we're going to take our pizza out of the oven, leaving 5 in the oven, and we're going to cut it up into slices. And so we really have 8/7 here. Subtracting 2/7 gives us 6/7. And then we have 5 minus 4, which is 1. So our answer here is going to be negative 1 and 6/7. Alright, let's try some decimals here. This is going to be more similar to integers. So it's negative plus negative. So we're just going to add them and the answer is going to be negative. Don't forget when you are adding or subtracting decimals, most important thing is lining up the decimal. So always make sure the decimal's lined up. So 8 plus 3 is 1, or 11. Then we have 8 here and 9. So we have 9.81, but remember it is negative because negative and negative. Make sure not to confuse that with the multiplication rule, which is negative times negative is positive. This is negative plus negative. Totally different. Alright, now here we have a subtraction, so we're going to want to do the rewrite here. Most of the time when you guys are missing these on quizzes, it's because you forget to rewrite it. Most of the people who rewrite it are getting them correctly, or correct. So once you do the rewrite to addition, this looks like a really simple problem. We're going to add two positive numbers. The answer is going to be positive. Oh, look at that, 8.88. Nope, that's wrong. That should be a 9. 8.98. Yeah, alright, there we go. 8.98. Alright, let's try one last problem here. We got a negative, minus a negative. A lot of negative signs in there. Let's change it. We're gonna instead add the opposite of that. So we're gonna have plus 2.45. So now we have a negative plus a positive. So we're gonna have to subtract these values. Our answer, which we could throw into the down below already, is going to be negative, so we just have to remember that. And when you're doing your vertical subtraction, the biggest number has to be on top. So even though technically we're subtracting this from that, we have to reverse it for now and just remember that our answer is going to be negative. So 8 minus 5, 6 minus 4, 7 minus 2, not a problem. No borrowing necessary. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching the video.